Welcome back to the TWSN YouTube channel. Today, another full round one mock draft. This time I'm joined by everybody's favorite person, Matt. NFL's draft is quickly approaching, man. I'm so excited for it, and we're just going to kind of get things started. Probably our last mock on the YouTube channel. You're the guest. You got the first pick. Jacksonville on the clock. Who are we feeling?
Yes, I mean, there's that discussion going on. Is it going to be Trayvon Walker? Is it going to be Aiden Hutchinson? There's reports that the Jaguars don't even know who they're taking, right? It's smoke season. We don't know what's going on. But a guy, he's been jumping up the draft boards. His name's been all over the Jaguars for the last few weeks. That's Trayvon Walker. And I really think the Jaguars are going to take him. I'm taking Trayvon Walker, number one of the Jags.
Yeah, I tweeted about Trayvon Walker. I looked the other day. It was February 21st. I tweeted that Trayvon Walker is so good, and he's going to go way higher than everybody expected. I personally did not see this coming, but it's still a little surprising to me, but I think he's a fantastic player. I think some of the things are, everybody talking about how he'd just be a terrible pick. I disagree. I can't really blame him for it. I think it's probably not the safest pick in the world, but I think the upside is higher than Aiden Hutchinson. It's not higher than Thibodeau, but just in general, I think it's a fantastic pick for the class that we have. It's a little risky, but the upside is there. I guess at the end of the day, that's kind of how you should play it in this draft. A little weird, but I think if this is kind of how it plays, Detroit at 2 is pretty happy with Aiden Hutchinson. I think it's just been kind of the thing all along. If he doesn't go 1, he'll go 2. I still think Thibodeau's the best player in the draft, but Hutchinson, Dan Campbell, Michigan, Detroit just seems like an absolute perfect fit.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Hutchinson pick to Detroit. He kind of feels like a guy that would work perfectly in that system, right? Dan Campbell's building something there. He's starting in the trenches, and Hutchinson is that perfect player that Campbell wants to build around, and
Yep.
he gets to stay in state where he went to college, so he already has a fan base there. It's just kind of like a perfect combination.
Yep.
We move on to the Houston Texans at 3, and I feel like with this pick, they could kind of go multiple routes, right? Like I've seen so many different names mocked here, and while I think they should go Kayvon, right? Like I think they should. He arguably is the best player in this draft. I don't think they go Kayvon. I think they're going to go offensive line. They're going to take Ike Ekwonu, and they're trying to build up that line. And they're not going to contend this season most likely, so they may as well get the offensive line ready for when they do. He's the best prospect in this class and gives Houston a real piece to build around on this offensive line.
Yeah, I love Aquano. I love the fit there to Houston. Need offensive line help, and if he plays guard, he's a dominant guard at that. Home run pick, best overall offensive lineman in the class. Maybe if you want a better tackle, more of a traditional tackle prospect, you lean Evan Neal. But I think it's a perfect fit there to kind of build up those trenches in Houston. And at 4, I think this pick has kind of been gaining some momentum a little bit. I think that the Jets are probably going to go corner here. I think it'll be whoever they view as CB1, and I think it'll be Sauce Gardner. It's just they need a corner, man. Like their cornerback room is solid. They had a lot of people that played well, overperformed a little bit last year, but they need a lockdown guy, and I think they believe it's Sauce Gardner. We're kind of playing in a wide receiver driven league right now, and you need somebody who can stop them. And I think they think Sauce is that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I love that pick because the Jets need like an alpha type corner, and I think Gardner easily fits the mold for that. And that would be a home run pick for New York, basically. But staying in New York, obviously, we have the Giants up next. This is a pick where I could definitely see someone trading for, because if you want a quarterback, you have the Panthers, you have the Falcons right there. So if you want a quarterback, let's say Malik Willis, you need to get in front of those teams more than likely. But for the purposes of this mock draft, Giants are going to keep their pick. I think they're going to go with Evan Neal out of Alabama. They need to protect Daniel Jones. Like, who knows if Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback for the next 5 years? But at least for this coming season, they need to protect this man, right? They need to build that offensive lineup and get that protection for him. And I think Neal provides, experience and versatility and really could improve this Giants O-line.
Yeah, I think if it comes down to it, I think somebody's going to trade up for quarterback because all the teams picking up here are just really bad. I can see Carolina doing it, but I think what I'm going to do with them is just go Charles Cross here. They need offensive line so ridiculously bad. They need a tackle. Sam Darnold obviously probably isn't the guy there, but they're going to protect for whoever it is. I could see them obviously drafting a Malik Willis guy here or trading down, but I really don't think they should go Malik Willis. I think that they might because the coaching staff kind of knows their job's on the line, so maybe they think it can buy him a little bit of time. But for right now, you got to protect your quarterback no matter who it is. I think Charles Cross is the best option there at 6, considering he's probably the best pure pass blocker out of the top guys. Definitely the worst run defender and everything else, but just pure pass blocking, I think he's pretty easily the best prospect in terms of pass blocking.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that would be a home run pick for the Panthers, right? Like, we don't know who's going to play quarterback for them, so you might as well get some type of a protection, right, for whoever's going to be under center there. But again, moving on to the Giants, once again, another team, one of these teams with multiple first-round picks. They got their alignment at 5. I'm going to go a little bit like out of left field here, which maybe not, but I think the Giants are going to go edge here, right? But they're not going Kayvon. I think they're going to take Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. I think the Giants could really use a guy like him on their team. He's been rising up the draft boards, and I think the Giants snag him at this pick.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Thibodeau to the Giants will not happen. Just won't. And I think because of that, a team like Atlanta is extremely happy with him at 8. Again, this could be a quarterback, maybe a potential trade down, but Atlanta's roster itself is so bad. I don't think it's smart for them to take a quarterback. And in my opinion, here at 8, getting the best player, in my opinion, in the draft doesn't really get much better than that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if Kayvon falls to 8 and the Falcons don't take him, there's going to be riots in Atlanta. Like, this guy possibly is the best overall prospect in this entire draft. Like, we've talked about this plenty of times on our show. So him going to Atlanta would just be a steal for them.
Absolutely. Absolute best case scenario for them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been number 1, and I wouldn't hate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he gets to 8, that would be awesome for Atlanta. But moving on to the Seahawks. This is a team where, I could see them going multiple rounds. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback because I think they're going to wait till next season, right? Drew Lock's under center for them this year. There's a lot of better quarterbacks in the draft next year, right? So I don't see them taking a quarterback in round 1. I'm actually going to have them take Derek Stingley.
I like it.
At LSU here. He could go in the top 5. There's rumors he could go 3 to Houston. He could go to 5. He could go anywhere, really. He has a tremendous upside. Seahawks need help on defense. They get Stingley here, and he bolsters that secondary.
I like it. I think Sauce is their ideal corner. He meets a lot of the requirements they have. But I think they would also like Jermaine Johnson here, but he's not there. I think Derek Stingley Jr. with the way the board has fallen does make the most sense. Their roster is not the best. Defense isn't the best. Derek Stingley, high upside guy, kind of just fits like a glove there. 10 at the Jets. It's a little bit of a different kind of style pick, but I think it's going to be the first receiver off the board. Jamison Williams is kind of picking that steam back up. His style of play is coveted in the league nowadays. Just that game-wrecking speed. Zach Wilson has a cannon, whether he's maybe not the most accurate in the world, but he does like to stretch the field, and why not give him the best field stretcher in this draft in Jamison Williams?
Yeah, I love that for the Jets. The Jets are building something, and within this draft, I really think they can unlock something. Getting some quality guys here, so I love that pick to the Jets. But going to the first pick for the Washington Commanders, still getting used to that one. But I have them going Kyle Hamilton here. He was talked about possibly going in maybe the top 5, and then he started dropping, and there's some concerns with him. I don't really see it. The dude's a baller. Like, he's just incredible. His coverage is awesome. And for a team, that has such strong pass rush that the Commanders do, they need to upgrade that secondary, and Hamilton immediately helps them there.
Yeah, now this pick is something I'm torn on. I like Trent McDuffie here a lot for them. I don't see Minnesota being in on Jordan Davis. They totally could. Something that I will continue to push for this Minnesota Vikings team. It just makes all the sense in the world, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about the fact that the Minnesota Vikings are going to draft Drake London 12th overall. I know it's, like I said, nobody's really talking about it, but it makes all the sense in the world when you think about it. They kind of want to compete now, and you look at how the way the league is evolving. They have one of the best receivers in the game, a young Justin Jefferson. But Thielen is a solid piece, but he's old, gets hurt a lot. And even if he does play, having Drake London be your 3, having him learn from Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson makes all the sense in the world. You need to make Kirk Cousins' job easier, whoever his successor is. He makes Dalvin Cook have better running lanes. You need to be able to score in the NFL today. And this just takes their offense to a whole nother level. You know, they got the new coach, new regime. Like, I'm pushing it. It might not be the most realistic thing here, but I will speak it into existence. Drake London or another receiver if they prefer, but I think Drake London's the best fit. Wide receiver at 12 to the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. You've been pushing the wide receiver agenda here for the Vikings for a while now, so I don't hate the London pick. But I'm actually going to take another receiver with this next pick for the Houston Texans. I'm taking Chris Olave from Ohio State. I mean, Houston got their offensive lineman at 3, and now they get a playmaker. You know, they're going to see if Davis Mills can continue to grow, and Olave has the ability to create big plays down the field, and I think he pairs really nicely with Brandon Cooks. And
Nico Collins.
You talked, what was that?
And Nico Collins as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you've talked about how you're a fan of Davis Mills, and I am too.
Mm-hmm.
So getting this guy a playmaker like this, I think it's a home run for Houston.
Yeah, I mean, adding an elite offensive lineman and an elite receiver in this draft is pretty sweet if you're Davis Mills, especially. At 14, this is probably my most. I think this will be the pick if he's available here. Give me Jordan Davis to Baltimore. Fits like a glove. They need a big guy in the middle like that. They have Calais Campbell. Doesn't matter. Jordan Davis. Baltimore's always going to take the best player available. They love adding to the defensive line. There's obviously the concerns. Is he only going to play 2 downs? Which is a viable concern, but at the very least, you're going to get a dominant 2 downs. And if he ever adds a little bit of pass rush, he's a massive steal at 14. I think the Ravens take advantage of the fact that they're not actually this bad. They just kind of had a bad year, injury-riddled year, and they take a really, really good prospect in Jordan Davis.
Yeah, you stole my next pick. If he had been there for the Eagles, I was easily going to take Jordan Davis. But I love that pick to the Ravens. He fits perfectly with that team. But since I can't take him for the Eagles, I'm going to go with his teammate, Devontae Wyatt. The Eagles need help on defense, right? Like, we saw them struggle throughout the year at times, and who knows what's going to happen with Fletcher Cox going forward. I think getting his replacement here so this guy can learn under him while he's still there is the perfect idea. So I like Watt going to the Eagles.
Yeah, can't complain. Here at 16, I think if this is the way the board has fallen, the Saints will probably try to trade up with the Ravens to jump the Eagles because they're scared the Eagles might take a receiver. Garrett Wilson, arguably the best receiver in the draft. They need a receiver. He's really the only last surefire one available. You still have Burks, Watson, Dotson, a bunch of other guys, but I think Garrett Wilson, they love their Ohio State receivers and Michael Thomas. Just position of need, best player available, kind of just fit perfectly.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. And yeah, so we're gonna piggyback.
It's an interesting one here.
It is. The Chargers can go a few different routes. They got J.C. Jackson in the offseason. So I don't really see them going corner here. I thought about McDuffie, but I can't justify that. So I'm gonna go with Treylon Burks to the Chargers here. They add to the wide receiver room. They take a guy who has massive after the catch ability. I think he's going to be one of Justin Herbert's favorite targets here. He's going to fit in perfectly with this Chargers offense.
I like that. It's not something we've seen too much of. I like Treylon Burks there. It gives you a different style of receiver compared to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I like that a lot. Here at 18, Trent McDuffie is so good. I don't know if he's going to be available at 18 in general. There's some his height and stuff concerns, but he's a phenomenal player. He can play corner. He can be a good safety if you want him to be. He can be a good slot corner. He can be a good whatever you ask him to do. And I think the Eagles would be amazed that he's available at 18, and it would be kind of a run to the podium pick, in my opinion. Now the Saints again here. What we liking with the Saints' second pick?
Yeah, so this one's a little difficult. I could definitely see them possibly trading back a little bit if the board falls this way. But they need some help on that offensive line. So I'm going to give them Trevor Penning. This is a guy that he has some upside. There's some concerns with him, but I think he provides some depth for that team, and he can easily become a starter. And they really need to start creating a strong offensive line, or if they do want to ever get back to like being a truly dominant team.
Yeah, they want to compete now. They need a tackle. Kind of just works. Now, I mean, here at 20, it's pretty easy if this is how it falls. Malik Willis, 20. I know, like, the quarterbacks are weird. You don't know where they're going to go. There's a good chance Malik Willis isn't here at 20. But, like, I think there's a higher chance of that happening than people really give it credit for. Just wouldn't surprise me. I think it'd be a home run for all of these parties involved. Obviously, you want to go to a good franchise, and the Steelers are a great franchise at that. Malik Willis is kind of their guy. So if he's here at 20 or within striking distance, I can see them making a play for Malik Willis, but they don't have to, and he's their pick there at 20.
Yeah, I mean, if he's still on the board and the Steelers don't take him, I think the fans might go to the stadium and pick and have picket signs. I personally think Desmond Ridder could end up going here too. If Willis
is gone, that would have been my pick.
But yeah, since Willis is still on the board, love that pick for the Steelers. They get their guy at quarterback. Now, going to the Patriots, right? Like, this is always a team that you just don't really know what they're going to do because, quite frankly, they probably don't even know what they're going to do at this point. They always find sleepers, or they always find a way to, get someone that no one really knows about and turn them into a star. Something they've done for 20 years, and which is why they've won so many Super Bowls, right? Mm-hmm. I have them taking David Ojabo from Michigan here.
Okay.
I think that I know he's hurt, but I don't think he's someone that they can pass up. His upside is way too high. And, the Patriots are good enough to maybe let him sit for the majority of the year. Maybe he comes back miraculously, and they really get a guy who can be star level when he comes back healthy and really can help that defense.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a surprise there, I think, for most people. But when Jabo's healthy, he's gone off the board, top 12, top 15 at the latest. Obviously, you don't like to see the Achilles injury, but it is what it is. The Patriots definitely seem like a team that could possibly take the risk there. Now, the first of the 2 picks for Green Bay is a little interesting. I kind of like some of these offensive linemen here for them. Not the biggest need in the world, but it is a need nonetheless. So I'm just going to... I think a tackle is a little bit of a bigger need. I'm just going to go ahead and give him Zion Johnson. The Packers aren't going to pass up talent. They'll figure it out later. You can move pieces around. They will go offensive lineman with one of these first 3 picks, maybe in the second. But just kind of best player available there.
Yeah, I love that pick for the Packers. They need to redo that offensive line. And I know everyone's thinking wide receiver here. And they could easily go wide receiver, but I think they're going to take a lineman with one of these first-round picks they have. Going over to the Cardinals, they need to fill that void of Chandler Jones leaving. So I have them taking George Karlaftis. I think that this guy hunts the quarterback. Like, he gets the quarterback really easily, and I think he would really help that Arizona defense, which, they struggled towards the end of the season, and I think they need that guy to really help get them over the hump, basically.
I like it. I think he would have been a really good pick for Dallas there at 24. And I'm going to kind of... I'm deciding if I want to let's mix it up a little bit. Where is he? I'm going to go ahead and give them... It's going to look like a reach because I'm scrolling down here. Arnold Ebiketie from Penn State to the Dallas Cowboys. They need edge help. And I think he's probably just the best pure pass rusher left. And they kind of need that. Just another little developmental a little bit. But just a high upside pass rusher. They saw how valuable that it was last year with Micah Parsons. But that's not going to be his full-time job. I think he's probably a better pass rusher than George Karlaftis is. But Karlaftis defends the run and sets the edge a little better. But Dallas takes a shot with a high upside edge there. And Arnold Ebiketie.
I like that pick. A little out of left field, but I think I think, within the draft, there's always a few picks like that, right? Like always. So I like that pick for the Cowboys. They could also go wide receiver there. They lost Amari Cooper, so I could definitely see them going there that way too. But I love that pick. Now going over to the Bills. The Bills are a tough team because they don't have a lot of weaknesses, right? We're getting into that part of the draft where most of these teams don't have too many weaknesses or clear weaknesses at that. I have the Bills going with the corner here. I'm going to have them take Andrew Booth from Clemson. They need to make sure that a quarterback does not go down the field again in 13 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think Booth really helps the secondary, gives them a guy with tremendous upside, and I think he would fit in perfectly with that culture that they're building out in Buffalo.
I agree. That's by far the biggest need, in my opinion. And the Titans, I've been thinking about this one for the last couple minutes, man. I think I'm going to do it. I've tweeted about it. I've talked about the possibility of it. And there's only one person that I think they would do this for.
I know where you're going.
The Tennessee Titans will surprise people. Desmond Ridder, Tennessee Titans. Fits like an absolute glove. Perfect match. Ryan Tannehill isn't terrible. But it feels like it's not working there. It's just not. They're never going to be bad enough to get a top QB. So they're going to get a guy who has some similarities with Ryan Tannehill, but he's just better in every aspect, and he's so much cheaper. They have an out after Ryan Tannehill's contract here starting next year or shortly the year after. I just think it just makes all the sense in the world for them to take his successor now. They're a good team. They don't have too many holes. Like they could take a receiver, they could take a linebacker, some defense. But just in general, I think they like Desmond Ridder. It wouldn't surprise me. I think it makes a lot of sense and nobody's really talking about it. It's kind of the luxury you have when you are a good team. I think Desmond Ridder, the Titans, makes a lot of sense and nobody's really talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, you've been pushing the Titans quarterback agenda here for a while now. And, I don't hate it because, Tannehill hasn't been the best. I mean, he threw 3 interceptions in a home playoff game this year when they were the number 1 seed. And I think Tennessee might start to realize this is not our guy to win.
Yeah, I think that might have really kind of been the last straw. The 3 turnovers, you sacked Joe Burrow 9 times, and you still found a way to lose.
Yeah, I could definitely see them going quarterback, and I don't hate the Ridder pick. I don't. I think that would actually be a very smart decision for the Titans. But that's up to them if they want to make smart decisions.
I feel like this is the only quarterback it would be. I don't think it'd be maybe Pickett, but I don't think it'd be like if all 3 of those guys are gone. I don't see him taking a Howell or a Corral or any of those other quarterbacks. I really think it's just Desmond Ridder. That's the only person that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that because I don't think Pickett would fit that system. Yeah, I think Ridder's the perfect player if they're going to take a quarterback for the Titans.
Fits like a glove.
So I agree with that 100%. Moving on to the Buccaneers, they got Tom Brady back, so they don't need a quarterback. But they do need some offensive line help.
Oh yeah.
They lost Alex Kappa. Ali Marpet retired.
Yeah.
They need to protect Tom Brady. I'm going to have them take Kenyon Green.
Yeah.
They need help here, and I think Green provides them a nice piece to replenish that offensive line and gives them something to work for with protection of Brady.
Yeah, I think it just kind of needs to happen. I've mocked Tyler Linderbaum there a few times just because I know he's not necessarily a guard, but just having that line with Linderbaum, Jensen, Shaq Mason, Smith, and Wirfs is unreal. And I think it's just kind of something they'd worry about later. I don't think this pick is anything other than an offensive line. There's a slim chance it's an IDL, a guy like Logan Hall to replace Ndamukong Suh. But I think they'll probably just re-sign a vet. Akeem Hicks is still out there. Suh's still out there. But I think more than likely this is an interior offensive lineman. The Packers at 28, it's got to be a receiver. Like, they're going to take one. I wouldn't surprise me necessarily if they didn't, but it just has to be. And it's just, I don't know who really makes sense here. I like Jahan Dotson in general, but I don't really know if he's the kind of guy the Packers need. I'm going to go a little bit off the grain here. I'm going to give him George Pickens. I think he's a little bit more of the type of receiver they need. And I think they need more of a bigger outside guy. I think Jahan Dotson and Sky Moore are probably better players in general, but I don't really think they need a slot guy. Like, I don't know how good that really how much that really helps him to compare to a guy like maybe even a Christian Watson there. But I just think George Pickens, he's flashed so much upside in the past, and they kind of need a guy who can really be the true outside number one option. I think he's kind of one of the last people that really fits that bill and come from a big name school. So it's just kind of the direction I think they would go. This pick, if this is where the board falls, could go a lot of different directions, and it wouldn't make Packers fans happy. But I think there's a chance they don't draft any receivers.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, even if they do take Pickens, let's say that is the reality, they take Pickens. I think at first glance, Packer fans are gonna be angry, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't see him as a first round pick, maybe a second round pick, but he could end up being that guy for the Packers. Like before his injury, this guy was the consensus number one wide receiver in this class.
Yeah, dominated as a freshman.
Like he's incredible. Like he is absolutely incredible, and it's too bad that his injuries derailed everything. But if he can get back to that, the Packers would have a home run here. Like this could end up being the steal of the draft if he can get back to his like, true upside and all that. But moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs, they have back-to-back picks, and I'm of the mindset they need to go defense. Right? They need defense. Like we all saw last season, didn't go over too well for them. I'm gonna have them take Daxton Hill.
I love it. I would have took him next if you didn't take him. So.
Yeah, like this kid is going to be fun in the NFL. He's versatile. He can play slot corner. He can play free safety, and I think he provides the Chiefs with some pretty good piece building forward in that secondary, and something they really need.
Yeah, I like it. And this next one, I'm gonna double down and go defense. Sorry if you really want them to go receiver, just don't think it's smart for them. In my opinion, maybe you take one in the second round, whatever. But the receiving core is not bad. I mean, MVS, Juju, McCole Hardman, like you still have Travis Kelce. Like I'm not gonna be surprised if they stick with that for a year and kind of really assess how bad they need a receiver, and then kind of just play it from there. Maybe they take one here. Wouldn't surprise me, but I think they really need to rework the defensive side of the football to kind of keep their window open for longer. So I think I'm definitely going to go double dip with the defense here. And I'm going to be honest, there's a couple people that I'm deciding between. I'm kind of tempted to go Kyer Elam and just completely revamp that secondary. I know they lost Tre'Davious Ward, I believe, in the offseason to the 49ers. So they kind of need another outside guy. Dax Hill can kind of be a slot corner for them, a little bit like Tyrann Mathieu. Or I kind of like Logan Hall of the Chiefs at 30. Another guy I've been pushing first round for a while. Logan Hall 30 makes a lot of sense to me for the Chiefs. I'm going to go a little bit different, change some things up. I'm going to go Kyer Elam. Kind of just lock that secondary down. It's a wide receiver driven league. Look at the division they're in. I mean, the Chargers. You have them drafting Treylon Burks here. He'd be their third best receiver. The Raiders. So many good receivers. Denver. Like I think they really need to hone in on that secondary and just get as much talent back there as possible. And doing this, you don't really have to touch it now. Go get defensive lineman. Maybe rotational corner. But just reworking that secondary in the division they play in makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah, I love that. I'm of the mindset as well. I think they need to go double defense here. They have the offense. Like Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He's going to make it work with what they've got. And this wide receiver class is deep enough where they could find someone later.
Absolutely.
In the draft. So take the corner, take Elam, like totally just bolster that secondary completely, redo it, and in a year or two, that secondary is going to be lethal for the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes and. Yeah, I love that pick. So moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals. This one I've seen a lot about. I'm going to say this. I do not believe there is a chance that the Bengals take an offensive lineman. They went out and signed 3 offensive linemen in free agency, and that changed the way that they were going to enter this draft. They have the luxury now of picking the best player available, and I think they're going defense. So I actually was going to take Elam if you hadn't.
I thought you might. It makes sense. They need a corner.
Here. So I'm pivoting here. I'm going to take, and I'm sorry if I messed up his name. I'm taking Boye Mafe.
Boye Mafe, yeah.
Mafe. I want him to the Bengals. I think he would be perfect on this Bengals team. They need pass rush, right?
Yeah.
Like their defense is really good. Don't get me wrong. But we saw last season their only real pass rusher was Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
They're getting Joseph Asai back, but he has not played it down in the NFL yet.
Mm-mm.
So the Bengals are not going to rely on a unproven rookie so far. He's looked good, right? He looked good before he got hurt. But I think if they can get Mafe, like it immediately helps this defense get better, and possibly he's explosive, high upside edge rusher. Like I really like this pick for the Bengals.
I do too. It's a little bit different. Not a lot of people. I don't know how many people would really be on board with it, Bengals fans wise. I think people would prefer more of a 3-tech, Prairie on Winfrey, Logan Hall. I'm big fans of those guys as well. But I like Boya Mafe a lot. He goes a lot earlier in my mocks a lot of the time. He's kind of been falling back down into this range. And even like the thing that people don't really think about too much is like you do need to plan for the future a little bit. Edge is a premier position. Trey Hendrickson has been great. Sam Hubbard has been really solid. But those guys are getting up there in age. And like if there comes a time where they need to get out of their contract, like that's part of the business of the things. If they need to get out on Trey Hendrickson or Sam Hubbard, now you have Boya Mafe and Joseph Asai still. Like it's an expensive position. So I think the Bengals could really go edge there at 31, interior defensive lineman along those lines. Maybe a safety, maybe a corner. It'll be one of the more interesting teams. It can go a lot of ways.
Yeah, Logan Hall makes sense there too. I just went with.
I like it.
I think he has a little bit of a higher upside, at least for
I like it.
But yeah, the Bengals
I can't complain.
Multiple ways.
Can't complain. I think edge makes a lot of sense. I love Arnold Ebiketie a lot too. I gave him to Dallas a little bit earlier though. I almost went Mafe. They're at I believe 24 to Dallas. Yeah, I almost went Mafe there. Here he is falling to the Cincinnati Bengals at 31. Now 32, this pick gives me a lot of trouble. It really does. I don't know what Detroit would want here. Something I've always played around with was Aiden Hutchinson at 2, David Ojabo at 32. But you took the chance with the Patriots there, which makes all the sense in the world. I don't think they go quarterback here. Maybe, but I don't. I mean, with Kenny Pickett on the board though.
See, I think the Lions. This is a prime trade out position, right? Some team. It's kind of like what happened when Lamar Jackson was still on the board at 32. The Ravens came in, swooped up, and got him. I can definitely see some team doing that for Kenny Pickett if he's still on the board here, because the Lions can afford to move back a little bit and get a couple extra picks and let some team get Kenny Pickett. I just think I could easily see that happening. I
mean, at 32 though, I'm not a Kenny Pickett guy at all whatsoever. But when you look at it, like it makes sense if he's there. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. I haven't done it yet.
I don't hate it.
So I just think it's something they need. Like, I just don't think when you're drafting quarterbacks late in the draft for these teams, I don't think Detroit's gonna be bad enough to have a top 5 pick next year. I don't really see that happening. So if that's the case, then they probably need to take their quarterback now. And I don't, maybe it's not Kenny Pickett. Maybe they don't do it. Maybe they do trade down for another option. But I think if this is kind of how the board falls, like I don't see them being that bad next year to get a top pick. I think there's several worse teams in the NFL, and I don't really see them. Maybe they become a player in 2 years for another one of those bridge quarterbacks. But I think they want to compete. I think they want their core in place now. So quarterback at 32 really doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I mean Jared Goff is not the future in Detroit. We know that.
No.
So I don't hate the Pickett move. I wouldn't take him in the top 10, probably. Some team might. It could happen because this is a quarterback-driven league. But at 32, I'd take the chance on Pickett if I was the Lions.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I'm not a big Kenny Pickett guy, but
if they want Matt Corral, I'd take him at 32 also.
Yeah, if they're at 32, I think quarterback makes sense. I do think there's a possibility, like you mentioned, that somebody trades up for their guy. But Detroit Lions going to stick there at 32. And I just take a quarterback there and Kenny Pickett. I really like how this one turned out. I got a lot of different opinions, got a lot of different vibes. But that's going to wrap up this, probably our final mock draft. We'll see how wrong we are and everything. It'll be fun, exciting draft. That's what it's all about. We'll be here breaking down all the content, articles, YouTube videos, tweets, etc. So make sure you're following TWSN for all of those. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys on the TWSN YouTube channel soon.